Welcome to the fastest staff in town. Today we're going to practice Avodah Zarah Daf Gimel. We're going to begin on Gimel Amud Aleph, about 10 lines from the top, where it says Elokach Oimrim. So this is referring to in futuristic times in which the Oivdi Kachavim, the idol worshippers, are going to complain and say, how come the Yidden had the opportunity to be Makabel the Torah, and we weren't given that opportunity? Now, even though it's true, as we saw on Beis and Beis, that they also were offered the Torah, they just didn't accept it. However, their complaint was that the only reason why the Jewish people accepted it was under duress. Kaifle and Har Kegigis, that the mountain of Har Sinai was put over them. So they had no choice but to accept it. If you would have forced us, we would have also accepted. So Hashem said, 1 second. How about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach? You're supposed to do those. You don't do those. So, and it turns out, because of that, V'tirin Lehen, because of that, Hashem declared them as permitted, that they don't have a chiyuv to have to do them. Now, the truth is, they could do the mitzvos, if they wish, but that's considered to be only as Matzuv Ve'eno Isa. They're not going to get the same reward. So, as Hashem said, they're mutter and not chai to do the mitzvos. If they do them, you'll be a smaller sachar, like an ein mitzvah v'yoysa. So Elokach Oimrim ha'oiv gachavim lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu b'anisham. They said, Hashem, Yisrael shekibluha hechin kaimua. Understand? You're telling me that they were makabel the Torah, but where do we see that they actually fulfilled it? Kadosh Baruch Hu ani made b'hem. Don't worry, I will testify shekaimu as a Torah kula, that they were mekayim. So I'm going to Rabbi 1 second. Klum yesh av shemeid al b'nai d'chsiv b'ni b'chaydi Yisrael. You consider the Yidden like your own children. So just like a father can't testify on behalf of his child, so too you don't have the ability to testify on behalf of the Klal Yisrael. Which of course is hard to understand, like Hashem didn't know that. But fine, let the heavens and the earth testify. Shekimu as a Torah kula. So Amar Lefon Rabbanan Shalom. Shemayim ba'aretz nagin be'edusin. The Shemayim ba'aretz can't testify because they have also some very important connection to making sure that everyone believes that the Yidden kept the Torah. Shnamar im loy borisi yamim b'layil chukas shemayim ba'aretz lo samti. And what do we learn out from that pasuk? We went out from that pasuk, Diamar of Shimon ben Lakish, Ma'anech Sevihier Vihi Boiker, Yom Hashishi, the famous drasha. Why does it say Yom Hashishi with a hay on the 6th day of creation? Melamed, Sheis Nekadosh Baruch Hu, Im Masib Reishis. Hashem made a condition with the creation of the world. Diamar Imi Sumakabonas Torasi Mutav. Milav Ani Achser Aschem L'Torah Vahu. If they are Makabal the Torah, good. But if not, then we're going to return the world to Toiv Vahu. B'hainu di'armi Chizkiya ma'nechsiv m'shamayim, from the heavens hishmat din, we heard judgment. Eretz, and from the earth yira v'shakta, there was silence and it was afraid. So im yira lama shakta, v'im shakta lama yira. Those seem to be different qualities of fear and quietness. So ella betchila yira b'sayv shakta. Originally, there was an element of being afraid. And then afterwards, there was silence. Says Rashi, B'tchila yira. Shema lo yikal b'Yisrael ha'Torah. Maybe the earth will end up going back to Tov Vahu if they don't accept the Torah. V'sayif kishikibluha b'nasa nishna shakta. So basically, there was silence and everyone was at ease. But basically, the idea is that the Shemayim Ba'aretz are Nageya, because if it wasn't for Torah, Chukas Shemayim Ba'aretz Usamti, if we didn't keep the Torah. So in this Taisa says, as the Kashim Timer Vahari Rai Gedayu Shikaimu, I can prove to you that they kept the Torah. Shar Shemayim Ba'aretz Kayamanheim. If the whole condition was that Hashem was going to return the world to Tov Vahu, the world's not in Tov Vahu. Maybe it's disputable in certain neighborhoods. But the point is that Taisus asks a great question. Just look around. We're alive, and the world is a beautiful place. So that should be a raya ayin Taisus. Arma Makadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, fine. I can't be the aid. I can't be the witness. The heavens and the earth can't be witnesses. In that case, then you, your own people, the the Goyim themselves, the other nations will testify. Yavo Nimrod, who was, of course, steeped in Avodah Zarah, he came. Avraham he testified that Abraham didn't worship idols because instead of worshiping an idol, he even was Meiser Nefesh to go into the kitchen Aish, which he was miraculously saved from. Yavo Lavan, Ve'id B'Yakov, Shul Nechshan al Gezel, that Yaakov Avinu kept the Torah. Again, the Torah wasn't even given during these times, but nonetheless, they still kept the Torah, they kept the Shiva Mitzvos B'nai Noach, even though he had the ability to steal because he was dealing with his crowd, he was dealing with his animals and everything for 20 years, but he never stole. Tavo Eishes Potifera, Beted B'Yosef Shul Nechshan al Havera, even though Yosef was able to be intimate with the wife of Potiphera, with Osnat, but nonetheless he didn't. Yava Nebuchad Netzar, Va'id B'Chanani Mishal V'Azariah Shlo Tishtach V'Tzelem. Again, Nebuchadnezzar is similar to what happened in the times of Abraham. Hanani, Mishael, and Azariah miraculously were also spared from the fire because they refused to bow down. Yavo Dar Yavesh, Ve'id B'Daniel. So let Darius come and testify regarding Daniel. Shul Bitul Esatfila, that he was never Mavatal in davening. There's no Rashi on this, but obviously you have to know the story a little bit better to know where that comes from. And there's no Tosfos on this either. Yobo Boldad Hashaychi, but Sipor Hanem Masi, Ve'elifaz Hatimani, Ve'eliyahu ben Barchael Habuzi, and let these people come, and Ve'idu Behem Yisrael Shekarma Es Kol Torah Kula. Let them come and testify that he kept the entire Torah. So who is Eliyahu ben Barchael? Says Rashi, Lo Garsinan, Yisrael Havi. That's the reason why it's in parentheses. Rashi points out because he's a Yid, so obviously you can't include him. Okay, Shnemer Yitnu Eidehem V'Yatzdiku. As we said before, the idol worshippers themselves are going to come and speak and testify on behalf of the Yidden. The whole reason why we brought this down is because it's with an ayin or an aleph. How do you read Lifnei Idehen, which is the name of the parak, is with an aleph. Tinulanu miraish v'nasana. So give us another chance now, and we'll be able to hopefully now be successful. Now, when the times of Mashiach, if you want to eat on Shabbos, you're not to cook. You have to prepare before. So too, you're asking now. It's already too late. You can't start doing mitzvos now and start being Mekabel the Torah now. It's already Mos Mashiach. Everyone sees the glory of Kadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, you're asking a little bit too late. But nonetheless, El Afal Pekin Mitzvah Kal Yeshli, the Sukkah Shema. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do a mitzvah, a simple mitzvah, mitzvah Kala. And the Mefarshim ask why it's the mitzvah Kala. Anyway, it's called the mitzvah of Sukkah. Sitting in the Sukkah. The Sukkah Shema. The Chuvasu, go and sit in the Sukkah. So also, they built the Sukkah. What do you mean? They did it. That they were commanded today. That the mitzvah is to do them now in Olam Hazeh, but not in the future, not in Olam Haba. Hayoim asoisam v'lo hayoim bito sachar. So today to do them, and v'lo hayoim Lito Sakar, but don't do it to get reward. Now, Shena Kodesh Baruch Hu Ba Bitarnuya Im Habriyasav. Rather, Hashem only came in order to, in a form of kindness, even though it's a form of seemingly an element of tricking them, to demonstrate that they were never shaykh to accept the mitzvahs to begin with. So V'may Karli Mitzvah Kala, the Gemara itself talks about why it's a mitzvah kala. Mishum delays bechisar kiss. It's not a monetary loss, which is kind of funny because a sukkah these days is thousands and thousands of dollars. But it means the act of actually going into a sukkah costs nothing. Miyad kol echad v'echad noitim v'hoyach v'yos sukkah b'roish gago. They used to put their sukkahs on the top of a roof because they're all flat. Kodesh Baruch Hu matil lehem cham k'tuk kufas tamus, and it became exceedingly hot that day. Now, each one of them, they were so angry that they kicked the sukkah in anger and disgust, and then they left. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, and let's get the whole pasuk over here. The pasuk says in Tehillim, Nenatka es mais roisemo v'nashlich memenu avoisemoi. So it means that they untied the cords and they cast their ropes. Okay, so Rashi says b'koyachim gadol, because of the great heat that came from it, al Hashem, so they cast their anger toward Hashem, Yal Mashiachai. Okay. So, see that is Kapitel Beis, and then Rashi says that the connection is Ka'imr K'nechsiv Loma Rogshu Goyim Umim Yagurik, that the nations are causing all this uproar. Ka'imr Nintka Mitzvah Sukkah Latil Aleinu. So basically, again, that it's the juxtaposition of that beginning of Kapitel Gimel and Beis in Tehillim. So, Makdir, so what exactly does it mean that they were calming them down? So, but you said that Hashem only came to kind of like somewhat appease them, but it's also a form of trickery. Mishum Yisrael Nami Zimnin. Sometimes this happened to Yidden, as we continue Gimel and Beis, Demashchul Tkufas Tammuz, that it can get extremely, extremely hot ad Chaga until like the holiday. V'havilut Zarah v'yom Rabbi Masar Patim in the Sukkah. So I don't really understand what was the big deal of what the Akum did. They left the Sukkah. The reality is, sometimes it gets so hot, says Rashi, so you would maybe think that, what they did wasn't so bad, because there's a mitzvah of sitting a sukkah, but if you're mitzvah, if you're in physical anguish, you don't have to go in there. There's no longer a mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah. Sukkah's teshu came to duru, is only if you're in an element of not discomfort. But if you're in sar, you can leave the sukkah anyway. Ranches, you're right. Nihida potter, it's true. They are potter. They could have left, but did they have to kick it? So it wasn't just the fact that they tried to do the mitzvah and they couldn't do the mitzvah, because that can happen to anyone. But by kicking it, it demonstrates their true feelings. Miyad HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yoshev Masachik Alehen, and God literally laughed on them. Shneimar Yoshev B'Shamayim Yitzchok V'Gomer. So it says that Hashem was dwelling up high and was engaged in laughter. Okay, and the whole pasuk in Tehillim says Yoshev B'Shamayim Yitzchak Adoinai Yilag Lamoy. So this is also in that same kapitel, in Kapitel Beis, in Tehillim. So we see that they were given the opportunity and they didn't accept it, and therefore Hashem laughed. The only time God laughed is on that one day. So some people learn that's what he said is on the following. The sign Rabbi Yossi Omer Lasan Lavo in the futuristic times, and they're going to try to convert. They're going to try to accept the Torah. Will we accept such gerus v'sanya? And mekabelin gerim limos Mashiach. We're not going to accept gerim at that time. So it's easy to join a winning team, right? And times limos Mashiach, but that's too late. Ki yotzeboy, similarly, lo kiblu gerim lo b'mei David, lo b'mei Shlomo. We also didn't accept gerim during the time of David and Shlomo, which again, the time of the Beis Hamikdash, with all the splendor and everything. El shenasu garim gerurim. They were considered to be on their own like lowlier individuals. It says Rashi, Me'alehin misgairin. They did it themselves. The anan lo makablinan. We didn't accept it. Mishum the gedulos in Israel koabdi. They only did it because the Yidden are in a state of grandeur. But that's what they did on their own, giving the appearance, the guise that they were Yidden. They wore tefillin, so tefillin b'zurei sehen, on their head, on their heads, and on their arms. Tzitzis b'bidehem, mezuzah b'pischehen. So they were doing all the outward mitzvos. When it came to the futuristic war against our enemies, for Hashem and for the Mashiach. Why the nations stirred up? Each one removed their mitzvos and went. That they basically cut the cords, namely like the cutting of the strings of the tzitzis. So what we end up seeing, so they wanted to side with the Yidden, but for their own benefit. But once they saw that Gog and Magog, who they really were more on that side, the anti-Semitic side, if you will, so they couldn't go against that. And therefore, they couldn't join the Yidden anymore. But Hashem laughed, as though to say, you yourself proved that you're not really fit to be Makabel the Torah. Shnemar, Yosh B'Shemaim Yitzchak V'Gomer. Ami Av Yitzchak, Eino HaKadosh Baruch Hu S'chayk El Oisah Yom was only on that day. Eini V'Hayim Rav Yehuda Marav, Shtemas Rishais Havi Hayoim. There's 12 hours in the day. On a perfect day, 6 a.m., 6 p.m., there's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of sunset, of darkness. So what does Hashem do all day? So obviously Hashem is beyond the scope of time, so this is something which is just for our understanding. Sholosh Rishonos, the beginning, first 3 hours, with Torah. He sits and learns Torah. Shni is the second, Yoshev Adonis Kolam Kulo, he judges the whole world. Kivan Shorosh Neschai V'Oilim Kalya, once he sees that the world is really in trouble because they deserve punishment, Ayman Mikisi Hadin V'Yoshev Kisi Rachmim, he goes to his kisei of compassion. Shlishiyais Yoshev Azonis Kolam Kuloi, and he starts doing chesed because he's now in the kisei Rachamim, and he sits and helps the whole world. Mikarni Reim, from the largest of animals, ad Beitzi Kinim, until the smallest animals. Says Rashi, Minahu Demiskaria Beitzi Kinim Badakinhen. That's the name of this very small creature. Revios, in the fourth part, Yosh Masachakim Leviathan. Hashem laughs with the Leviathan, this mystical creature which is in the water. Shnemer Levyasan Zeyitzartel Sachik. Then the Levyasan you created, and Hashem laughs l'sachik boy, and Hashem engages in laughter with it. Says, so that is actually in also in Tehillim. Sham aniyah yisihalechun levyasan zeh yitzar to l'sachik boy. So anyway, the kash is, what do you mean Hashem only laughs this one time? We see He laughs every day with the Levyasan, with His creations. Together with His creations, you're right, He does laugh all the time. Right? He does laugh every day. That's true, because He rejoices with His creation. When it comes to laughing at, are you laughing with me or are you laughing at me? So Hashem laughs at His creations this one time because of how the foolishness of how they've disproven their true ways. Okay, a bunch of questions. Let's start with question 9. Himi kabul akum schar al zayin mitzvahs imi kaimu oisam. So we did this actually already. We alluded to it already. It was in yesterday's daf, that they will receive it as someone who is she'ena mitzvah v'oisa, but not someone who's a mitzvah v'oisa, because gadol misha mitzvah v'oisa, she'ena mitzvah v'oisa. Question 10. Kach amrim ma'akim avnei kodesh baruch hu. Yisrael shekiblu ha'hechen kamu. How do we know that they keep the mitzvahs? So Hashem said, "I'll testify," or the heavens and the earth will testify. So ma tshuvas ha'umois. What was their answer regarding them? So al edus Hashem, they said, no, klum yesh amed al b'nai. A father can't testify for his son, and the Jews are considered as children of Hashem. B'ni b'char Yisrael, and Shemai v'aretz, they're noigen be'edus, as it says imlo bris, etc. Question 11. Madua ein mekabel geren limos HaMashiach. Also in times of the Shlomo. They're not really sincere. They're only doing it because of the greatness of the Yidden. TA 15. Madua tainu umos ha'olam shakadosh baruch hu enu made b'yisod kam Torah shema b'aretz enu ma'idin. Exact same question. Hashem is because klum a made al b'nai shema b'aretz are again be'edos. So it's the exact same question we had before. That was TA 15, which I did right. TB 16. Madua tanu umas ha'olam shakadosh baruch hu enu made b'yisod Kaimos Atayra, Mishmar Ba'aretz, Enema Eden. Mamish the same question over again. This is TB 16. They're pretty clean questions, so sometimes they ask the same questions because they're so solid to ask. Question TB 17. Ma'akadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, we actually didn't finish this. We'll get to this question in a second. Okay. So we've learned what Hashem does during the day. So continues the Gemara. Amalei Rav Achel Rav Nachman Yitzchak Miyom Shechar Beis Hamikdash. The Matan Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Ein Schleik Kodesh Baruch Hu. Hashem doesn't laugh. No deleka Schleik. Im Nechsev, because the pasuk says V'ikra Hashem Elokim Savachos B'Yom Hahu L'Bechi L'Misped L'Karch V'Gaimer, that Hashem considered these days as crying, eulogy, and for rending garments. Dilma hu yoima sulo. Maybe it's only referring to the actual day of the Chorban, and that's it. El dechsiv im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If you forget Yerushalayim, you should forget your right hand. Tidbak l'shayni likchi im lo eskarchi. And your tongue should stick to the palate of your mouth if you don't remember, if you don't recall and remember the Chorban. So this is not just a one-time deal, and of course this is what we say under the chuppah as well. And this pasuk is actually taken from Tehillim Kufla Amud Zayin. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini tidbak l'shayni likchi. Let my tongue stick to my palate. Im lo eskarechi im lo eles Yerushalayim simchasi. Okay, so in order to be able to acknowledge even the time of Simcha, you have to recognize the destruction of the Chorban. So Dilma, Shachahu Deleka, maybe forgetting, he's not going to forget Yerushalayim, and the Chorban, of a Schaik Mi'aika, but maybe he still laughs. Maha. Rather, we went out from the following pasuk in Yeshaya. It says, Hecheshesi me'oilem acharish es apak kiyoyleda epvam esam v'yeshaf yochad. So, what do we went out from here? So this pasuk tells us clearly that Hashem is silent during this time, which means that he no longer expresses any laughter or rejoicing from the time of the Chorban Habayis. So that's how we derive it from this pasuk. So the question is, Breviyos Mayovid. So what does Hashem do now in the last quarter? Because it used to be Hashem would be laughing with a Levyasan. But you said that was only before the Chorban. After the Chorban, Hashem doesn't laugh. So what does he do then? So Torah. So he teaches the little children Torah during this time. That's what he does. Okay. Fine. Shenemer es mi yoyra deya ves mi yovin shemua goymi mechola vatiki mishedim. So this is referring to little children who died prematurely, that those children are going to be taught Torah. Mi yoyra deya mi yovin shemua goymi mechola vatiki mishedayim. So those people who were nursing these little babies who died prematurely, Hashem will teach them, give them knowledge. So mi'ikara manhavi migrulhu. So before the Chorban, who taught those children? If you said that Hashem was laughing with the Levyasan, and then now after the Chorban, because there's no more laughing, he teaches the kids Torah. So who taught them Torah before? Iboy Seima, it was Metiturain. It was actually a malach. The Titorain was the one that did it. Alternatively, he was able to do two at the same time, right? So Hashem was able to teach the Torah as they died early to them, and also he was able to laugh. But now there's no more laughter. So what does Hashem do at night? So right? He basically does the same as in the day. He doesn't do it, it's the same routine. And he's like riding on these keruvim. And he flies through the 18,000 worlds. As the pasuk says, let's get the whole pasuk in Chavokuk. Rechev, I think. No, it's actually in Tehillim. Rechev Elokim Riboy Sayim Alfei Shinon Adoinoi Bom Sinai Bekodesh. So this pasuk teaches Al Tikri Shinoin Ela She'enon, that they are not. He listens to the songs of the angels. Shnemer Yomam Siva Yitzava Hashem Chasna V'Layla Shirami. Rav Levi. Kol Paisik Medivri Torah. Anyone who stops learning Torah B'Oisik Medivri Sicha, and he starts doing other things which are wasteful, so Machilim Lo Gachli Ritzomim. They will be like consumed with fiery coals. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, and this is in Yoav, Ha Koitvim Maluach Ali Siach V'Shorish Ritzomim Lachmom. So someone who's engaged in Siach, in idle talk, right? One who uproots Torah and he's engaged in idle talk, the roots will be fiery coals. If you learn Torah at night, you'll be given kindness during the day. Hashem will give you kindness in the day. And at night, sing Torah to me. So Matam Yomi Yisav Hashem Chastoi. Why does Hashem provide kindness for you during the day? Mishum de V'layla Shirami. She says, anyone who learns Torah in this world, which is a daim l'layla, which There's an element of darkness to it. Hashem will give you kindness in the world to come, which is comparable to the day. Okay. What does it mean in the pasuk in Chavakuk? This is Chavakuk when it says Adam that we are comparable to the fish of the sea. Remes lo moishel boy. Just like the remes, there is no control over it. So the question is, why are we comparable to fish? So just like fish, as soon as it goes onto dry land, it can't live. It has to be in water. So once you separate from Torah and mitzvos, miyad mason, you'll die. So perhaps this is the idea that Hashem says that if you don't learn Torah, then the world's going to go to tov vavahu, which means that's the Torah, it's the values that preserves the world to make it good. Which is also the reason why if you learn Torah at night, there'll be chesed during the day. Chesed will be done for you, but also because you learn Torah, which has values, so therefore you're going to instill kindness into the world. The should be on the second answer. Just like the fish. Kivan shikaru lehem chama. Once the sun shines on it, miyad mesim. Kav the adam kivan shikaru lehem chama miyad mesim. When the sun shines upon them, so too they will die. Now, obviously, it's not referring to the regular sunlight. Okay, but the idea is that we cannot withstand the power of the sun. In this world, that everything is the hands of God, except when it comes to the heat and the cold. So right now in New York, it's over 100 degrees. It's boiling hot. So if you go outside and you get a heat stroke, that's on you. You can't say, well, God, why did you allow this to happen? You're in control of the heat and the cold. You're in control of the temperatures. And therefore, if you don't take care of yourself, then it's dangerous. Shnemar, as the pasuk says in Mishlei, Sinim pachim b'derech ikesh shermin nasher yirchak mehem. When it comes to the cold and the heat, it could be for the crooked one. Guard your soul and distance yourself from them. It can be very dangerous. There's no real Gehenim in the world to come. HaKadosh Baruch Hu moitzi chama min artikia. Hashem takes out the sun, the rays of the sun. When it comes to the wicked people, they're judged by it. The tzaddikim is srapin ba, and the tzaddikim are healed by it. Rishayim nidainin ba, so the wicked people are judged by it. Dichsiv, as the pasuk says. We'll just keep getting to the Torah or Sholem, as it says in Malachi, Ki hine hayoim ba, that the day will come, boyer kitanur, it'll be burning like an oven, v'hayukol zaydim v'chol oisei risha, and all the people that do wickedness, kash v'lihed oisam hayoim haba, they will be consumed just like straw. Omer Hashem Savakais, Asher lo yazoi v'hem sharish v'anaf. There will be nothing left from them, not a root and not a branch. Lo sharish v'om hazev lo anaf v'om haba. Tzadikim esrapin ba, that tzadikim will be healed. Dechsiv zarcho lachem yirei shmei shemesh. It says also mamish in the same parak, just the next pasuk in Malachi, parak Gimel, that the sun will shine for those who fear him, and tzedakah merape, and they'll be healed bikinafeha, by its wings. Yotzasam, and they'll go out upishtem ke'egle marbek. So again, what that basically means is that they will be completely healed. And not only that, Ella shemis adninba, they'll be delighted by it. Shenamar v'yitzastem, as we said, they'll go out. They will go out upishtan ke'egle marbek, and again, they're going to go out and be satisfied and delighted by it. Davar acher, lastly, wine by fish. Ma dagma shemayam kol hagadol mechavero boyles chavero. One fish swallows the other fish. So af b'nei adam ilmoli myrishol malchus. It wasn't for the kings and the government and all the laws. Kol hagadol mechavero boyles chavero. One would swallow each other up. Hainu dinan Rabbi Chanana Sagana Kohanim Oimer. As it says in Pirkei Avos, you should always pray for the welfare of the government. Shemali, if it wasn't for them, of the Morish Malchus, Ishas Reu Chaim Boilo, a person would swallow each other up. So let me see. Did I have question 17? Ma Kadosh Baruch Hu Oisa B'Shol Shoyis Rishaynos. Umadu Lo Yispal Adam B'Yachid Musa B'Rosh Hashana B'Gimel Shanos Rishaynos. So, what does Hashem do the first 3 hours? So this is actually a little bit here. This is TV 17. So, Shalosh Rishon is the Kodesh Baruch Hu Yosho Eisa B'Tayra, right? And that's it. He's what I write. Uhu Loy Mitayra. Okay, we'll have to see the rest of that, which we didn't complete. Now it's interesting. Gehenim is not what necessarily we think of. Gehenim is the exact same thing for a tzaddik and for a rasha. But the question is, just like the sun, you can get too close and get burned, or you could enjoy it. It could be healing, it could be dangerous. So too, when it comes to a tzaddik, as I often said, it's like the devekas to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you want to be davuk to Hashem, if you want to have a connection to Hashem, so then it's a very beautiful thing. But if you've always distance yourself from God, so if you distance yourself, so therefore it's not something that you ever want, and therefore it's comparable to a school child who has dismissal at 3 o'clock and the clock is at 2:55 forever. So you can say, well, oh good, I still have the opportunity to learn more and to grow. Or you can look at it as, this is terrible. It all is a matter of perspective, but the way that you've developed yourself in this world is how a person will be in the Olam Haba, because just like we said in the Gemara regarding Shabbos, Misha Tarch Be'erev Shabbos, if you work before Shabbos, then you'll be able to enjoy Shabbos. So the purpose of this world is to develop yourself, and therefore a person will be Zaycha to a great portion of Olam Haba. Ad Kan.